My name is Zig, and for a embarrassingly long time, I was completely, spectacularly, almost impressively broke. Not a little tight this month, broke. Not waiting for payday, broke. I mean, checked my account balance before buying a $2 coffee and still had to think about it, broke. This is the story of how I fixed that. Step by step, from zero. And everything I am about to tell you, I learned the hard way so you do not have to. Picture this, 23-year-old Zig. First real job, first real paycheck, first real taste of actual adult income. And what did Zig do with that first paycheck? Spent it in 11 days. Not on anything important. Not on anything that lasted. Just gone. 11 days. Like it evaporated. Month 2, same thing. Gone in 9 days that time. I was getting faster at being broke. That is not a skill anyone should be developing. I had no budget, no savings, no emergency fund, no investments, no plan. Not even a vague idea of what a plan might look like. I just earned money, and then I did not have money, and then I earned more money, and then I did not have that either. And the worst part, I did not even know what I was spending it on. It just disappeared into the void of daily life and poor decisions in one period I prefer not to discuss that involved a subscription to something I used exactly once. Cousin Kevin, who is objectively worse with money than I ever was, looked at my bank statement one day and said, "Zig, this is bad, even by my standards." When Kevin thinks your finances are bad, that is a sign. That is a very clear sign. Something had to change, and since nobody was going to come fix it for me, I had to figure it out myself. This is what I learned. The first thing I did, and this was genuinely uncomfortable, was track every single dollar I spent for one full month. Every coffee, every random app purchase, every time I tapped my card without thinking, every single thing. What I found was not one big problem. It was 17 small ones. I had 4 subscriptions I forgot I was paying for. I was buying lunch every single day at work instead of making it, which sounds small until you realize that is $250 a month on sandwiches. $250 on sandwiches every month. I was making tiny impulse purchases constantly. Nothing individually large enough to notice, but collectively enormous. The moment I could see where my money was going, I could control it. You cannot fix a leak, you cannot find. First step to stopping being broke, track everything. 1 month, every dollar. No exceptions. Not to punish yourself, just to see the truth. The truth is the only starting point that actually works. Once I knew where the money was going, I needed a plan for where it should go. I tried budgeting 3 times before it actually worked. The first 2 times, I made it so restrictive, I lasted about 11 days before abandoning it completely. The 3rd time I used a simple rule, the 50-30-20 rule. 50% of my income for needs, rent, food, transport, utilities. The things I cannot not pay. 30% for wants. The things that make life enjoyable. Entertainment, dining out. The things that make a budget sustainable rather than a punishment. 20% for savings and future me non-negotiable. Moved automatically the day my paycheck landed. The key word in that last part, automatically. I set up an automatic transfer for my savings the same day my salary hit my account. Before I could see it. Before I could spend it. Before my brain could think of 17 reasons why I deserved something nice this month. Gone into savings. Immediately. What I could not see, I could not spend. That 20% started small. But it started. And starting, as it turns out, is the hardest and most important part. Now here is something I did not understand for an embarrassingly long time. Before investing, before any big financial goal, before anything else, I needed $1,000 in a separate account that I did not touch, an emergency fund. Because here's what kept happening with that one. Every time I started making progress, something broke. My phone screen cracked. My car needed a repair. An unexpected bill arrived. And every time I had no buffer. So I put it on a credit card. And the credit card charged me interest. And the interest ate my next month's savings. And I was back to zero. Every single time. The $1,000 emergency fund broke that cycle. It was not exciting to save $1,000. It was not Instagram worthy. Nobody threw me a party when I hit the number. But the first time, something unexpected happened and I paid for it from my emergency fund instead of a credit card. That feeling of being able to handle something without panic, without debt. That feeling is worth more than the $1,000 itself. Once the emergency fund was in place, I started investing. And I want to address the thing I told myself for too long that kept me from starting. I do not have enough money to invest. I started with $50 a month, $50, into a simple index fund. Every month, automatically. It felt ridiculous. It felt like putting a bucket under Niagara Falls. What difference was $50 going to make? Here's what $50 a month makes at a 10% average annual return over 30 years. $113,000 from $50 a month. that I genuinely would have spent on things I cannot even remember. The amount is almost irrelevant at the beginning. What matters is the habit. What matters is starting. What matters is giving compound interest the one ingredient it needs to work. Time. Every month I did not start was a month of compounding. I was giving away for free. I stopped giving it away. This one took me longer to learn than the others, and it cost me more than I like to admit. For a long time, I spent money on things that made me look like I had money. New trainers, upgraded phone every year, eating at nice restaurants, more than my budget justified. Not because I particularly wanted those things, but because I wanted to appear like someone who had their finances together. The irony is devastating. I was spending the money I needed to actually get my finances together on appearing like my finances were already together. The people I eventually learned from, the ones who actually had financial security, almost all had the same characteristic. They looked ordinary, drove ordinary cars, wore ordinary clothes, made ordinary spending decisions, and had extraordinary bank accounts. Because every dollar that did not go toward appearances went toward assets. Assets that grew, assets that compounded, assets that eventually meant they never had to worry about appearances again. Looking rich and being rich are not the same destination. They are often opposite directions. I stopped going the wrong way, so that is it. How Zig stopped being broke. Track every dollar, see the truth before you try to fix anything. Budget with the 50-30-20th rule, and automate the savings before your brain gets involved. Build a $1,000 emergency fund first. It breaks the debt cycle that keeps people stuck. Invest even $50 a month. The amount matters less than the habit and the time. And stop spending money on looking rich, and start spending it on becoming rich. None of this is complicated. None of it requires a finance degree. None of it requires a high income. It just requires starting today with whatever you have. 23-year-old Zig had nothing, and he started anyway. So can you? Smash that like button. Subscribe to Learn Finance with Zig, where we make money make sense. And drop a comment. Where are you on this journey right now? Tracking stage, budget stage, just starting. Tell me. I read every single one. I will see you in the next one. Stay smart, stay wealthy.